All right, hi everyone. My name is Alex Gutau, and I'm part of the product marketing team. And I want to talk to you a little bit about one of the particulars in our platform about how we're really bringing in trust and visibility into what data is being stored in Cloudera Enterprise, specifically through our Cloudera Navigator product. And so as you've heard today, Cloudera Enterprise is our product that's powered by Hadoop at the core. And Hadoop, as you all are familiar, really allows you this new way to work with data. So it allows you to store unlimited amounts of data of any type in a single platform. And then on that platform, it adds in unified multiple frameworks for accessing and analyzing that data. So this brings huge flexibility and power to businesses to really get deeper insights into what their data is. However, this can also oftentimes work against some of the production needs for enterprises, which is why Cloudera Enterprise has dedicated a lot of time really building in these ideas of enterprise security, data governance, administration and management, as well as an idea of open standards built into the core of the platform so that you can have all of the flexibility of Hadoop while still having all of these business needs that you require. And really the core way to do that is to build it right into the platform. And so we'll focus specifically today on this idea of data governance as well as data management. Next slide. So going back to this idea of balancing the needs for the enterprise. So really when we're talking about Cloudera Navigator, we're looking at three main user groups. You have your business users, you have your information security team, and you have your DBAs, your database administrators. And so they have access. There's now this platform that has all of this different data being stored together, and they have many different tools to be able to access it very quickly, provide a lot of self-service insights. For the business user, now that they have access to all this data, well, they need to figure out where to even start. What data is being stored there? When they come across data, how can they actually trust what they're finding? Additionally, they've really been restricted by searching this data by going through IT and saying, hey, this is what I need. This is what we need to spin up for me to find what I need. With so much data and so many different tools, they need to be able to access this data self-service as well, so no longer have this IT bottleneck. For the information security crew, they're very much concerned with meeting all of these compliance needs. So with more users accessing more data, they need to know who's accessing what they're doing with that data, how it's changing. Is the sensitive data that's now being stored in Hadoop protected and governed? And again, for these key industries where there's regulatory requirements, are the compliance needs being met? And then when we're looking at the DBAs, they really need to get insight into how is data being used today with both existing systems and as workloads are starting to move or new workloads are developed on Hadoop. How can they optimize this move to Hadoop? How can they ensure that they're successful both in a very quick and risk-free way? Next slide. And so this was the thinking behind developing Cloudera Navigator, which is one of the tools in our Cloudera Enterprise suite. And it's been around for about 2.5 years now. And Cloudera Navigator is the only integrated data management and governance platform for Apache Hadoop. And so and we'll go into more of what that means. But at a very high level, we have Navigator, and it's been proven for production. So like I mentioned, it has about 2.5 years of development behind it. It's a fairly mature product. It's integrated into the platform, and it's being used by our customers today across multiple different industries. I mentioned the compliance ready aspect before as well. So Cloudera is the only Hadoop distribution to have achieved PCI compliance. And some of the features that Cloudera Navigator provides are a key component of that. So things we'll talk about such as audit, lineage, encryption, and key management. And then the other big thing here is data management and governance are not new things to a business. There already are a lot of tools that are managing data quality, managing lineage, securing data that are being used with other systems. And so as you implement Cloudera Enterprise as a truly enterprise data hub in your enterprise, then it needs to be able to integrate in with those existing tools that you have. Next slide. So going back to those three main user groups that we're talking about with the varying different needs. The first one we'll talk about again are going back to these business users. And so Cloudera Navigator for these business users provides this self-service data discovery and analytics. So this makes it really easy for them to go in and find and trust the data sets that matter most for them. And one of the ways that Cloudera Navigator enables this is by having the only unified metadata repository. So what that means is it's automatically bringing together all the technical metadata from all the different components in the platform and combining that with the business metadata as well, and then opening that up into a searchable interface for these business users. So these users can go in, discover these data sets, gain more context and visibility around the data sets, see what the usage patterns are, see what other users are accessing them so they know they can trust them. And then it also opens it up for them to be able to find similar relevant data. So they can answer the questions that they know about today, do their day-to-day, and then also find new data sets to open up new insights into the business. Next slide. For the information security team, this is where this compliance-ready governance and security come into play. And so this allows the security teams to really be able to track and understand what's going on with the business and how folks are accessing this data in a way that also makes it easy to meet any of the compliance needs.
Is that a question? Sorry.
Yeah.
So that sounds like after the fact access. So will you be getting into the how to protect it before it's access security issues as part of your presentation now? Or should I ask my question now?
So I won't be diving into too much of our greater security story. Yeah. So in general, our platform is fully features comprehensive security across what we call the 4 pillars of security. So being able to guard at the perimeter for authentication, yeah. Having integrated authorization with Sentry, which Justin had spoken about a bit, the governance aspect piece, which is mostly what Cloudera Navigator is focused on, as well as data protection, which is actually rolled up into Navigator. So being able to have multiple layers, and so you're definitely correct, an audit is after the fact. Yeah. It's, hey, something happened, we need to go dig into that. Yeah. But some pieces such as the encryption and key management, especially with our partnership with Intel, being able to ensure that you can encrypt all of your data and it's still going to maintain this high performance with some of those optimizations there, allows you to ensure that your sensitive data is completely secure.
Well, so when I'm using the term security, so definitely encryption, great thing, especially for compliance. And especially for if servers go walking out the door. Don't ask me how I know. So one of the things, though, is that I have this hard time with any sort of these newer non-relational technologies of understanding how we balance, and I had tweeted that I congratulated Justin for not using the word schemaless, but we keep talking about how, you know, there's no schema, we're flexible, we can bring in all the data, we don't know what the data is, we don't care what the data is. But then the typical enterprise data story is I need to have the equivalent of row level or column level security. I don't know how to balance that because if there's no structure to the data or I don't know what it is and it's on. Sure, we put these table structures on top of it with Hive or whatever. But how do I balance that need for security to protect the data, to keep people from accessing it? At a finer grain. So I've heard hints of it, but I haven't heard any details.
Yeah, so I think there are a few things at play there. in terms of actually controlling who's accessing the data, and this also goes back to this idea of you have to balance priorities, right?
Yep.
You want to enable your business users or anyone in the company to be able to access this data using whatever tool they're comfortable with, which in the Cloudera Enterprise platform, half a dozen different access tools there. That can be quite a daunting challenge, especially given a lot of what is traditionally used is, okay, manually, let's go in and declare, how users can access it, which tools they can use, that sort of thing. That removes a lot of the flexibility. It's not scalable in a Hadoop way, which is why Apache Sentry is our solution for that. And so what Apache Sentry does is it provides a unified mechanism for authorization. And so it's integrated into the Cloudera Enterprise platform. It's also open source, so it's solving this problem for Hadoop more broadly as well. And what that does is it allows you to do role-based access controls at a fine-grained level for your users, and it allows you to declare those policies once, and it'll push it out to all of the different...
But that's at the file set level, not at the file level, not at... So this is that, again, I'm coming down to the details of a lot of enterprise. So right now, the way I understand it is, if your use case or your data story is I need fine level granularity, I'm not going to use a file-based data store. I'll say that because I know database is that.
Karen, with one part of what you were talking about, and I think I can throw it to Cloudera as well and hopefully get an answer. But computers aren't magic. So
that's actually my question.
Which is kind of the
how does this magic work?
And that's the issue. Is like, I mean, companies, even when they have column-based data, actually getting them to go, oh, you should figure out who should have access to this data and who shouldn't. It's like, yeah, but that's like hard and work, and no. So, is it possible to use some of the things with a Cloudera system like machine learning, so you can have, if one part of the business actually goes through the work and says, you know what, we probably shouldn't let just anybody look at credit card numbers or medical data or something. And if you have this big pool of just data that someone's thrown in there, it's unstructured, who knows? Are you able to use some of these tools to assist a business to say, hey, this looks like the kind of data that we know from our global customer base, that these templates are things you should probably be using? Because are you a HIPAA compliant organization? Yes. Yeah, no. No, you're not at the moment, because our template says that you're allowing these people access to that data and they shouldn't. Because that would help with the business problem of going, I don't want to go through this exercise because it's tedious and boring.
That's my job. What are you talking about?
We're going to automate it away.
Thank you.
So, and I think the key...
Is that possible, though?
So, I think the key here, there's two different parts to that. And for one, while Cloudera has passed a compliance audit, anyone who's dealt with a compliance audit knows the technology isn't the only solution there. It's very much a balancing of people and processes. And so the fact that we have gone through this audit process with our customers, and we're familiar with that, and actually have an offering with our partner MasterCard to be able to enable other customers to be able to pass this, has been a huge benefit there, and something our customers have leveraged. So it's about letting them know what they need to know to be able to pass this. On the other hand, Hadoop security is not solved by any means. We have built out the technologies and we are continuing to dedicate a lot of resources in security in particular. With our acquisition of Gazang back almost a year ago at this point, we now have a dedicated Office of Security Excellence that is meant for testing and doing development and doing partner integrations. So a lot of this is you may have policies that are declared through existing partner tools that have said, hey, this is how you tag credit card data as sensitive, or those sorts of things. And so making sure those policies can be pushed through, as well as continue to enhance them. So it's definitely a continuing effort on that part. But the important thing here is when you go about making Hadoop secure, you can't just add something on top of it. It needs to actually be built into the core of the platform, and that's been our motivation behind it. There is, we're building this platform to have the correct foundation to continue to grow this security and governance story. Yeah, and so Cloudera Navigator is a big part of that. And from that is this auditing, lineage, encryption, and key management, as well as integration with partner tools. And then getting into the database administrators, which we'll go into some more detail, and you'll see a cool demo around as well. There's kind of two parts here. So for one, they need to be able to, at Hadoop-Scale, really manage the data lifecycle. And so this means having in a lot of automations, as well as a lot of protections in case something happens to this data. So there is a policy engine built into Cloudera Navigator that allows you to automate a lot of these archiving and retention needs. This is one of the newest components. It was released about 6 months ago at this point, and so it's definitely still expanding from there. We also have backup and disaster recovery built into the system, so you can automate any of this replication to make sure if anything goes wrong, your workloads and your data are going to be protected. And again, it's integrating with the leading tools for when you need to get into any of these profiling or transformation policies. And then next slide. And then the one we're very excited about is with our recent acquisition of Explain, really building out this usage-driven model optimization story. So again, talking to these needs of the DBAs, the administrators there. This allows them to really get a view into how data is being used today, and being able to give them recommendations and insights into how to really get success from Hadoop. Because Hadoop in general does require you to take a step back and figure out where are the easiest workloads going to be that are going to be the most successful. How can we get this fast? So not only is there a workload profiling tool to really be able to gain visibility into how data is being used, what are the most popular queries, those sorts of things. It also provides an intuitive interface and reporting mechanism to be able to create a plan for what are the workloads that are going to be the most successful on Hadoop. How do you share that with the rest of the business? How do you communicate that plan? And then it also allows you to actually have a staging area and go through and get started with the process of figuring out which data, which workloads are going to move over to Hadoop, and teamed with Cloudera as well to look at what they're doing today to provide this personalized optimization and guidance into what that data is. And so with that, I will pass it off for the demo of Explain. And while we get set up, are there any other questions about Navigator and what we're doing with data management and governance?
I have one, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
So one of the things I struggle with data governance is, so this new unified repository is still only about data in the Hadoop framework. And most enterprises want a truly unified metadata repository that covers all their data stores. So I guess maybe you could comment on that about, are you solving just a very specific problem for the Hadoop customers, or are there integration points with other tools? And
there are integration points, and we have a number of strong partnerships, folks like Informatica and Trifacta. So being able to have building out the foundation for making sure that you can have a unified metadata repo for your entire system. And that's also a bit more roadmap as it would be. But getting visibility and getting that metadata into Hadoop is first step, and then we also have the integrations now as well. So you can continue to talk with the tools, get a sense of where your lineage is, share some of the metadata as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Do you see security as a forte of your product?
Of Cloudera.
As a feature that, as a differentiator for the product?
For our platform? Oh, most definitely. Security and governance have been there's a reason why we're investing so much in it. And it was something that Cloudera sought to invest in early as well. And Part of that is just because we were able to enter the market earlier, and we did have the large base of customers that are actually doing real things with their systems. And as soon as they move out of that POC to production mode, suddenly you have to meet all those business needs.
Although your competitors are investing in security as well. They're making acquisitions in the space just the same as you did.
That's true. And I think that's only validation that both Hadoop is being used for much more real use cases there, and that it was the right step for us to make. But like we were saying before, security and governance are not easy things, and having the head start there and having the right foundation to build upon gives us a huge edge in terms of that, and being able to have these partnerships, such as with MasterCard, such as having a dedicated development team, research team there, such as having optimizations with Intel. Lots of focus there, lots of continued focus there.